We get the full extent of the government's spending cuts next Wednesday when the Chancellor publishes the spending review, and we're promised that at its heart it will be fair. But what does that mean? And can you cut any services and benefits and be fair?
We've made sure we're all in this together, and we've taken our country back from the brink of bankruptcy. A stronger Britain starts here, and I commend this statement to the House.
Let's march on Downing Street!
There's people here today that didn't even realise that corporations dodge tax.
And see a 75% tax cut, ask Vodafone, find out how.
So when they say there is no alternative, we, working people, trade unionists, will build our own alternative from here and now on. Solidarity, get organised.
Hello, welcome. My name is Dylan Strain. This short film is all about resistance to the Condems cuts. Or should I say, it's about beyond resistance. We'll talk to many different people, all ages, well known and otherwise, all united in the same struggle against the cuts. We'll look at how we were put into this situation, and we'll see how we can go beyond resistance and what this really means. But first, let's look at the situation we find ourselves in now.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to grow the economy. Profit before people, come on, help save capitalism. I'm on the streets for growth. We must grow the economy.
If the coalition cuts, thanks to the banks who cocked it up. Now corporations run our planet, and the public have no say. This is the dawning of the age of austerity, age of austerity, austerity, austerity.
I'm on my way now to meet authors Paul Fellman and Jerry Gold. They predicted the financial crisis as early as 2004 in their book The Rough Guide to Global Capitalism. They followed that up with The House of Cards in 2007, and now a new book, Beyond Resistance, which talks about the cuts, the background to them, and they have an interesting view on the system, and they say the problem is deep and global.
Capitalism needs growth to overcome its own problems of falling profits, but now we're in a situation in which the period of growth is finished, the globalisation period is finished, and we're now moving into a period of contraction and destruction of capital. So that returning to growth must mean the elimination of productive capacities, millions of unemployed, and huge physical destruction, and unless that happens, then there can't be a return to growth.
Basically, the system became dependent on debt, like a drug, absolutely dependent on debt. And at a certain point, the system was overwhelmed by the very same debt. Just take a look at this chart, for example. It's about household debt in relation to national income. As you can see, the figures are way off the scale, especially for Britain. Now, those figures have risen by about a third in the last 10 or 15 years, where people were just given loads and loads of credit to go out and buy more and more goods, to buy bigger and more expensive houses. But this had to come to an end, and it did in 2007 when the banking system crashed, and then the following year the economy crashed. Because of the crisis, governments all over the world are in serious debt. So now they are cutting spending to appease the bankers and the money markets, which is why public sector workers are being sacked and services wrecked.
It's the needs for growth that created the credit system during the period of globalisation, and that's become unsustainable now. So that's why people are looking to blame the bankers while leaving the capitalist system itself in place.
The British banks require billions and billions in new loans. Nobody knows where this money is going to come from. The government hasn't got any more money for another bailout. So watch this space for another meltdown in 2011.
When governments seek to ignore us, we have no other alternative but to take to the streets and direct action to bring them down.
It does need more than polite letters to Parliament. It does need a sort of physical presence on the streets.
And the fact is the Charterists understood the same thing. They was marching for years until they realised that no one was taking no notice of them. It's only when they started throwing a few bricks through windows that people started understanding they're the real problems. Now, of course, the Charterists now, and quite rightly so, are heroes. But the fact of the matter is, at the time, they was castigated. In my view, these students, in years to come, history will judge that they're right.
Yes, this one. That one. Basically, they're getting what they want. All the rich people are going to go to university because all their parents can pay. And all the bankers. Middle class people are paying for this. They did this. My mum has to pick which twin she wants to go to uni. I'm a twin. That's a lot of money.
I need the government funding the royals to get married when they could easily put that in something like this.
We need to persist and keep going until we get change, because we can't all sit on our asses and expect stuff to change. We need to be active citizens and get out there and actually demand change.
The last couple of weeks we've seen energy that I haven't seen in my lifetime before. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of all the different movements. I'm proud of the various occupations going on today, the various walkouts from further education schools. I'm proud of this. I was even proud of the Miliband protesters, because I think something has got to be done about this. It's too big an attack on us to just sit by and do nothing.
Trouble is, there are too many vested interests in business as usual at the level of government, at the level of the capitalist system and corporations, and people's own jobs, and people are fearful of change.
And to me, there's no future in these big corporations, but the only way that we're going to be able to bring about change is if the people actually stand up and say this isn't good enough.
There is a media that manufactures ideas. Whatever we do, the very worst possible spin will be put on it. I don't believe in idiocies like flowing fire extinguishers, but whatever we did, they would slag us off, and the fact that we're doing something effective, they'll slag us off even more.
We are in it together, and collectively we're strong. And it's that sense of collective strength which can carry us forward. And I think when we articulate that alternative, we also have to think people need a strategy for victories, because we can't get people out on the streets time and again unless there's a possibility of some victory.
I think, funnily enough, the Cameron idea of big society is going to backfire in the sense that, well, if you do leave it all up to us, we might have a little bit more say in how that works.
And the people power have to take charge.
It's got to be the people do something about it.
It's probably down to the people, I reckon.
We're bigger than them, we're stronger than them, we're more powerful than them.
So we need a decentralised society, real democracy, where people are able to make decisions and shape their culture together as equals.
So I do think we'll see a move towards people's assemblies, and I think that they will work. Because what people's assemblies do is they give everyone a voice, an equal voice, and then they allow the people to act upon that voice.
You mean by local assembly, you mean people who live near each other getting together, and yes, I think that's where it should start.
People all over the world need to build assemblies and form international organizations so we can sustain any democratic movements that we make forward. It can be done, and in fact, we have very little choice. If we are to have any democratic rights, if we are to sustain any reasonable standards of living, then the only way is for us to control our own economy and our own destiny. We need to spread the idea of people's assemblies as a transition towards taking power.
Build people's assemblies! Build people's assemblies! Build people's assemblies!
So how do we go beyond resistance? Well, a World to Win's in favour of building people's assemblies. What are they for? They're to unite ordinary people, to bring together the anti-cuts campaigns and develop a network of assemblies that can represent and defend communities against the closures, against the cuts and evictions that are being carried out. under the government's policies, that can oppose war and racism, and that can campaign for a charter of basic democratic rights, which will also protect the Earth's ecosystems. And how will this be done? By mass action that will create a transition to a not-for-profit society where everything is owned in common, where there's democracy at work, at school, at college and at university.
In short, a network of people's assemblies will have the revolutionary power to create a truly democratic society for the first time.
Revolution!